The Proxima Centauri Advanced Military Academy, or, as it's known in 17 different galactic languages, the prestigious Multi-Species Center for Strategic Excellence and Cultural Understanding Through Coordinated Violence, represents perhaps the most ambitious architectural failure in known space. Built by committee across 14 species over the course of 2 centuries, the station resembles what might happen if a shopping mall, a Gothic cathedral, and a particle accelerator had an unholy threesome in zero gravity. The Academy's founding charter, written in a pidgin dialect that somehow manages to be simultaneously verbose and incomprehensible, declares its mission to foster unity through disciplined combat readiness while respecting the diverse tactical philosophies of all member civilizations. In practice, this translates to a bureaucratic nightmare where cadets must navigate not only the physical maze of the station. Designed by architects who apparently believed that straight lines were a form of cultural imperialism, but also a curriculum that attempts to synthesize the military doctrines of species who can't agree on which way is up in space. It was into this magnificent catastrophe that Cadet Zara Kowalski arrived on a Tuesday, station time zone 7B, which corresponds to roughly Thursday afternoon in Andromedan Standard, or possibly next week in quantum temporal classification. To understand the significance of what would later be termed the Kowalski incident, one must first appreciate the exquisite complexity of the Academy's educational approach. The station operated under 6 primary tactical philosophies, each more incompatible with the others than quantum mechanics and common sense. First, there was the Etherian method, practiced by beings who resembled luminescent jellyfish crossed with dance instructors. The Ethereans believed that warfare was an art form, and that battles should be conducted with the same aesthetic principles as their traditional mating displays. This led to tactical formations that were undeniably beautiful but tactically questionable, such as the spiral of graceful death and the pirouette of overwhelming force. Etherian combat instructors would spend hours critiquing the line quality of a cadet's laser fire and the emotional resonance of their explosions. The Xerikon approach couldn't have been more different. These silicon-based life forms, who looked like walking calculators with delusions of grandeur, treated warfare as a mathematical optimization problem. Every battle plan came with cost-benefit analyses, risk assessment matrices, and quarterly performance reviews. Xerikon cadets were required to fill out environmental impact statements before deploying weapons and could only engage enemies after completing a 17-page requisition form in triplicate. Then there were the Valdorians, whose military philosophy could best be described as maximum overkill with style points. Descended from a species of apex predators who had apparently never heard the phrase proportional response, they believed that the only way to win a battle was to bring enough firepower to glass the surrounding solar system. Their training exercises regularly required reconstruction of entire practice facilities. The Zephyrian tactical doctrine emphasized harmony with natural forces, which might have been admirable if they hadn't extended this philosophy to include harmonizing with vacuum, radiation, and asteroid fields. Their cadets spent half their time meditating on the cosmic flow of battle, and the other half being treated for exposure to cosmic flow. The crystalline collective approached warfare through what they called distributed consciousness tactical integration, which was a fancy way of saying they argued about everything until consensus was reached or heat death occurred, whichever came first. Their battle plans resembled scientific papers more than military orders, complete with peer review processes and citation requirements. Finally, there were the humans, whose tactical doctrine was generally described by other species as catastrophically improvised aggression with random success. This was considered either refreshingly unpredictable or deeply concerning, depending on one's perspective and insurance coverage. Cadet Zara Kowalski's arrival at the Academy was notable primarily for how unremarkable it appeared to be. Unlike her classmates, who included a Valdorian prince whose entrance exam had accidentally vaporized a moon, an Etherian whose admission dance had moved 3 faculty members to tears, and a Xerikon who had submitted a 847-page optimization proposal for improving academy efficiency, Zara simply showed up, filled out her paperwork in pen rather than the regulation digital stylus, and promptly fell asleep in the orientation lecture. This would have been merely mildly inappropriate if not for the fact that she continued sleeping through most of her subsequent classes, training exercises, and examinations. Initially, her instructors assumed this was some form of elaborate human military deception, perhaps a psychological warfare technique designed to lull enemies into complacency. Several lengthy interdisciplinary committees were formed to study the tactical implications of aggressive somnolence. The Academy's first clue that something unusual was happening came during basic Etherian formation flying. While other cadets struggled to master the delicate art of piloting their craft in aesthetically pleasing patterns while maintaining tactical effectiveness, Zara dozed in her cockpit and somehow flew perfect formations. Her ship moved with an unconscious grace that made veteran Etherian instructors weep with envy. When questioned about her technique, she mumbled something about following the pretty lights and went back to sleep. The Xerikon instructors initially attributed her performance to a primitive human calculation subroutine running in the background of her sleeping mind. They subjected her to extensive mathematical testing, only to discover that she couldn't correctly multiply numbers above 12 when awake. Her unconscious mathematical abilities, however, appeared to operate on a level that made their most advanced processors look like pocket calculators. As word of Cadet Kowalski's unusual abilities spread through the Academy's labyrinthine administrative structure, it triggered what historians would later classify as a bureaucratic cascade failure. The Academy's response to anything unusual was to form committees, and their response to committees was to form oversight committees to monitor the original committees. By the third week of Zara's enrollment, there were committees studying her sleep patterns, her dietary habits, her exercise routines, which consisted entirely of walking to class and occasionally stretching, and her study methods, which consisted entirely of not studying. The Committee for the Analysis of Unconscious Human Tactical Superiority spent 6 weeks developing a standardized measurement system for sleep-based combat effectiveness. The Subcommittee for Cross-Species Sleep Pattern Evaluation attempted to replicate human REM cycles in volunteer cadets from other species, resulting in 17 medical emergencies and a brief diplomatic incident when a Valdorian cadet's drug-induced dreams led to the accidental demolition of the Academy's East Wing. Meanwhile, the Interdisciplinary Task Force for Understanding Human Cognitive Anomalies published a preliminary report suggesting that human sleep might represent a previously unknown form of tactical processing. This report was immediately classified, declassified, reclassified, and then lost in the Academy's filing system, where it would remain until someone invented a better organizational method than alphabetical by original author's tertiary name in their species mating language. Through all of this bureaucratic chaos, Zara continued to excel at everything while appearing to put forth minimal effort. She slept through advanced Valdorian weapons systems and somehow scored perfectly on live-fire exercises. She dozed during Zephyrian meditation and tactical awareness classes and demonstrated an uncanny ability to predict enemy movements. Her performance in crystalline collective consensus-building exercises was particularly impressive, as she managed to sleep through 14-hour debate sessions and wake up just in time to suggest solutions that satisfied all parties. Dr. Quantum Resonance in the Void of Understanding, a crystalline collective researcher whose name took roughly 4 minutes to pronounce correctly, became the Academy's leading expert on what was now being called somnolent strategic processing. Their research, conducted with the assistance of a multidisciplinary team that resembled a support group for confused academics, attempted to understand the mechanism behind Zara's abilities. Initial theories ranged from the plausible, unconscious pattern recognition to the absurd, psychic connection to a tactical AI hidden in Earth's moon, to the academically rigorous, quantum entanglement between neural synapses and the fundamental strategic constants of the universe. The most popular theory among betting pools was that humans were simply too stupid to realize they were supposed to think consciously about tactics, allowing their unconscious minds to operate without interference. Testing Zara's abilities proved challenging, as traditional measurement methods required the subject to be awake and cooperative. The research team developed new protocols for passive tactical assessment, which mostly involved setting up increasingly complex scenarios around her while she napped and measuring how well she responded without appearing to wake up. The results were consistently impossible. Zara could solve tactical problems in her sleep that stumped graduate-level military theorists. She navigated complex strategic scenarios with the unconscious elegance of a salmon swimming upstream, if salmon were capable of interstellar warfare and had a tendency to snore softly while doing it. The Academy's final examination, known as the Grand Strategic Assessment, was designed to test every aspect of military knowledge acquired during 4 years of study. The examination took the form of a massive simulated battle involving multiple species fleets, complex political scenarios, resource management challenges, and ethical dilemmas that had kept philosophers busy for centuries. Previous years' examinations had typically lasted between 18 and 36 hours, depending on how long it took candidates to either succeed brilliantly or fail spectacularly. The Academy's records indicated that the shortest successful completion time was 7 hours and 43 minutes, achieved by a Xerikon cadet whose solution involved calculating optimal surrender terms for all parties involved. The examination began at 0800 station time with the traditional ceremony of academic intimidation, during which senior faculty members explained the historical significance of the examination, the career implications of failure, and the proper protocols for requesting psychological counseling afterward. Zara slept through this entire presentation, occasionally making small snoring sounds that the recording equipment picked up as tactical suggestions. At 0847, the simulation began. Other cadets immediately sprang into action, calling up holographic displays, analyzing intelligence reports, and beginning the complex process of strategic planning. Zara remained asleep in her command chair, head tilted at an angle that suggested either deep tactical contemplation or a crick in her neck. At 0848, she moved for the first time, her hand drifting unconsciously to the command console. Without opening her eyes, she executed a series of commands that redirected 3/4 of the available fleet assets into what appeared to be a completely random formation. At 0849, enemy forces engaged the seemingly chaotic human formation and were systematically annihilated by what military historians would later describe as the most elegant tactical demonstration since the Battle of Proxima Beta, but with more sleeping. At 0851, the simulation ended. Total time, 3 minutes and 47 seconds. The Academy's first assumption was that the simulation had malfunctioned. The AI running the examination had been programmed with scenarios based on centuries of military theory and had never encountered a solution that involved winning a complex strategic engagement while unconscious in under 4 minutes. Emergency diagnostic teams swarmed the simulation chamber while Zara continued sleeping peacefully in her command chair. 3 hours of intensive analysis revealed that the simulation had functioned perfectly. It was the human cadet who was malfunctioning, at least according to every known model of conscious tactical decision-making. The examination AI, when questioned, reported that it had attempted to present Cadet Kowalski with increasingly complex strategic challenges to test the limits of her abilities. Each escalation had been met with solutions so elegant and effective that the AI had eventually run out of scenarios and defaulted to declaring total victory for the human candidate. I kept expecting her to wake up and start paying attention, the AI later confided to researchers. Instead, she solved every problem I presented while appearing to dream about something involving small earth mammals and recreational food consumption. It was deeply unsettling. News of Zara's performance spread through the Academy faster than gossip in a small space station, which was exactly what the Academy resembled despite its prestigious reputation. Within hours, betting syndicates across 17 systems had crashed, several military theorists had requested extended psychiatric leave, and the Academy's faculty had called an emergency session to discuss whether they needed to completely revise their understanding of tactical education. The emergency faculty meeting lasted 14 hours and reached conclusions that satisfied no one while confusing everyone. The official determination was that Cadet Kowalski represented either an evolutionary leap in human tactical capability, a glitch in the universe's programming, or an elaborate practical joke being played by entities with access to reality-altering technology. A secondary committee was formed to investigate whether other human cadets demonstrated similar abilities. Extensive testing revealed that while other humans showed some capacity for unconscious tactical processing, none approached Zara's level of somnolent strategic brilliance. Most human cadets, when asked to solve complex military problems while sleeping, simply continued sleeping without solving anything. 6 months after what was now officially termed the Kowalski paradigm shift, the Academy announced sweeping changes to its curriculum. The new, integrated unconscious tactical processing program attempted to incorporate elements of human sleep-based strategy into traditional military education. Initial results were mixed. Etherian cadets, when encouraged to nap during tactical planning sessions, produced battle plans that were even more beautiful than usual but tactically questionable. Xerikons students developed sleep optimization algorithms and began calculating the cost-effectiveness of dreams. Valdorian cadets' unconscious minds apparently focused entirely on explosion optimization, leading to several incidents that required extensive facility repair. The most successful adaptation came from an unexpected source, the Academy's maintenance staff, who discovered that many complex repair problems could be solved more effectively by sleeping on them, literally. This led to the establishment of the galaxy's first department of unconscious engineering, though their success rate remained well below Zara's tactical achievements. Upon graduation, Zara was presented with several career options that reflected the galaxy's new understanding of her unique abilities. The Galactic Defense Force offered her a position developing REM cycle warfare optimization protocols. The Academy wanted her to stay as a professor of advanced unconscious strategic analysis. Several research institutions proposed studying her full-time in exchange for a comfortable salary and all the sleep she could want. Zara's response to these offers was characteristically unconscious. She dozed through the entire presentation of career options and woke up just long enough to mumble something about, "Sounds fine, whatever," before drifting off again. The Academy interpreted this as acceptance of all offers simultaneously, leading to the creation of the galaxy's first multi-institutional position in comprehensive sleep-based strategic consultation. Her new job description, when finally completed by the Academy's administrative staff, was 17 pages long and included responsibilities such as unconscious tactical oversight, strategic dream consultation, and periodic waking for signature validation. The salary negotiations took 6 weeks, primarily because Zara slept through most of them and had to be gently awakened whenever her input was required. 3 years after graduation, the Kowalski method had become standard curriculum at military academies across the galaxy. Cadets now receive training in tactical napping, unconscious decision optimization, and strategic sleep hygiene. The results varied wildly by species, but the overall improvement in strategic thinking was undeniable, even if most practitioners remained conscious while doing it. Zara herself had become something of a legend in military circles, though she remained largely unaware of her fame due to spending most of her time asleep. Her strategic consultations, conducted entirely while unconscious, had prevented 3 interstellar conflicts and optimized resource allocation for the Galactic Defense Force to a degree that made Xerikon economists weep with envy. The Academy eventually built a specialized facility for housing visiting, unconscious strategic consultants, though Zara remained their only successful example. The facility featured advanced sleep monitoring equipment, tactical simulation systems that could interface directly with dreaming minds, and a cafeteria that specialized in foods that promoted strategic dreaming. The story of Zara Kowalski and the Proxima Centauri Advanced Military Academy serves as a reminder that sometimes the most complex problems require the simplest solutions. In a galaxy where military education had become increasingly complicated, bureaucratic, and theoretically sophisticated, one human cadet demonstrated that the key to strategic excellence might be as simple as knowing when to stop thinking and start sleeping. The Academy's official motto was eventually changed from, "Through unity, victory," to "Rest well, fight better," though this was printed in so many languages that the new signs required their own structural support systems. The change was largely symbolic, as most faculty members were too exhausted from trying to understand unconscious tactical processing to appreciate the irony. Today, military strategists across the galaxy continue to study the Kowalski method, attempting to replicate her unconscious tactical brilliance through various means ranging from the scientifically rigorous to the utterly ridiculous. Sleep-based strategic thinking has become a recognized field of study, complete with academic journals, professional conferences, and heated debates about the ethical implications of weaponizing dreams. Zara herself continues to serve as the galaxy's premier unconscious strategic consultant, solving complex military problems while sleeping peacefully in her custom-designed tactical rest facility. Her dreams, monitored by teams of researchers and translated into actionable intelligence by advanced AI systems, have become the foundation for a new understanding of strategic thinking that emphasizes intuition over analysis, rest over activity, and the simple wisdom of sometimes doing nothing at all. The Academy's final report on the Kowalski paradigm shift concluded with an observation that has since become famous in military academic circles: sometimes the most important lesson we can learn is that we don't need to learn anything at all, we just need to sleep on it. As for whether this represents a genuine breakthrough in military science or simply the universe's way of playing an elaborate practical joke on overly serious military educators, the jury is still out. The jury is also, coincidentally, taking a nap, which might be the most tactically sound decision anyone has made in this entire situation.